Hello, Sunday School scholars. This is Pastor Walter, and coming to you today with another Sunday School lesson out of the book of Genesis. We're following up on what's going on in the relationship between these two people of faith. That would be Abraham and Sarah. You remember they were promised a son in their old age. They had difficulty believing that. They had so much difficulty until they decided to help God out. That didn't go well. How many of us know when we decide to help God out, it doesn't go well? But now God delivers on his promise in his own time. And faith is the very act of trusting God. Self-inflicted nonsense is when we try to take over. That's sin, y'all. So here comes Isaac in God's time, according to God's promise. And Isaac is the young son that is the one that's the center of the idea of sacrifice. The Lord tells Abraham to take this son to Mount Moriah for the annual worship of sacrifice. And don't take a lamb, just take the fire and the wood, build an altar, and I'll tell you what to do when you get there. Well, both Abraham and Isaac had some feelings that this is kind of interesting. We got everything we need for this worship of sacrifice, but we don't have an animal to sacrifice. Well, they get to the top of the mountain, questions swirling in both of them's head of how's the Lord going to work this out. And I'm sure Abraham is thinking, Lord, you know, the trouble that we had getting this child, what all we've been through, the Ishmael story and all of that, Hagar and all of that kind of stuff. And heaven was silent. Even when he explained to his son, the Lord has told me to sacrifice you back to him. Now, you know his son was younger. Son could have ran away, pushed the old man over. But the son was obedient. Obedience is a blessing, better than sacrifice. So he tied him up, laid him on the altar, and pulled that sharpened knife back, as he's done so many times with tears in his eyes. And the Lord said, stop. You have proven to me that you trust me. He had some experience with the Lord. He saw the Lord work miracles in his own physical body and that of his wife. And so now he believed that the Lord would do what the Lord said he would do. We need to have that kind of implicit faith in the Lord. And so he looked around, and there was a ram caught in the bushes. A lot of good preaching up in there. And but that's not the focus of our Sunday school lesson. It's the background story. The next scene, we go over to chapter 25, and we see that filled with years, Abraham at this point decides to tell his servant, I want you to help Isaac out. He carries the promise. He carries the seed. But I don't want him to marry one of these women in this area, in the area of Canaan. Now, was Abraham racist? No, he was obedient. It wasn't an idea of racism. It was an idea of idolatry. He knew that he would be swayed, he, his son, being Isaac, be swayed by the prevailing culture. And so he wanted him to be a part of the assignment God had given him. And he didn't want to be disqualified. So he said, take him over to my brother-in-law's house, find a wife. And here how it goes. They get 10 camels. There's a caravan. They go over to Laban, who is the brother of his wife Sarah. And the Lord tells the servant was reluctant, saying, what if she won't come back with me? And Abraham, full of wisdom and experience, he knows God. He said, an angel will lead you. And if she comes to you, the Lord expresses to this servant, she comes to you and offers you hospitality. We hear that word again. Radical hospitality. She offers hospitality, this young lady that he does not know when he gets in that region where Laban lives. and say, can I give you a cold cup of water from your journey? And he said, yes. Beautiful young lady. She goes on to give water and comfort to the animals as well. Radical hospitality differs from hospitality. Hospitality is what we are expected to do when people visit our home. Radical hospitality is going beyond the expected to give people comfort and being intentional about it. Again, we see his word. She ran to supply water and comfort. And then her father runs when he sees this caravan of 10 camels to make the people feel at ease and welcome. They were very, very intentional. Well, the whole group gets invited to dinner. And during the dinner ceremony, during the dinner time, the servant says, I can't eat a bite until I tell you why I'm here. I'm here to find a wife for my master. And so he feels by the power of God, he has discovered this young woman, Rebekah, and he says, can I take her back home? And when they have their discussions and their negotiations, and he heads back home, and we know that she was a woman of humility, at least at that time, because the way she presented herself, even when they got back to their destination, how she got off of the animal and prepared herself to meet this young man for the first time. I want to describe this whole situation by saying God is building a family. He wants to build a family with you. He wants to build a church. He wants to build a community. He wants to build a school. But it's one person at a time, one brick, one plank, one window, one solid foundation. Will you let God build a family in your life? To talk about that in Sunday school. Talk about in ways in which your involvement in ministry and kingdom building can, will, and has made a difference. God bless you. Pastor Walter, take care. Love you now. Now, I've had all kinds of trouble this morning. I started at 7 o'clock, and the reason it's a little bit late is because I'm having equipment failure. Look at that. Look at that. There it goes.